So it's easy. We just go there, go to the street, yada yada yada. Black Lives Matter, and we golden.
Sir, you can't go down there. It's far too dangerous.
I am Mayor Ted Wheeler. I've got this. It's that all I got to do is listen. It's a listening. I don't even have to say anything.
What? Nobody says anything there, sir. They're just shouting. They're saying the same things you've already heard.
They shout. I listen. I'll be president in like 4 years. Ah, man.
I'm Steve.
I'm Tom.
This is Demagogue News with things you need to know about. Episode 43. Hey,
Dude, Battlefield Portland.
Battlefield
Holy shit.
2042 Portland edition. Jesus Christ. So last night, the fucking bottom fell out in Portland, Oregon, and people decided that they were going to protest. So it ain't your grandma's protest. This was a protest.
This was a mostly peaceful
This
protest,
was a
baby.
mostly peaceful protest. Let me tell you what.
Shit escalated.
Shit escalated bad. So I guess if you're not caught up on the story, Portland has been in constant protest for 55 days since, I guess that's exactly for March 25th.
I think that's where it correlates to, yeah.
Yeah, so.
In relation to the death of George Floyd, so they kicked off like the day after.
Right, yeah. It took a day or two for everyone to, get those wheels turning. But at this point now, let's even go back a couple of days prior. Because of all this protesting, the Department of Homeland Security has sent some number of federal agents, federal employees, military men down to Portland to help with the local police to help quell this problem. And the police have decided to side with the people. Like there was no
Portland PD?
There was no. I watched the stream. There was a stream for about 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
There was no police. There was no police that was surrounded around the federal courthouse, which these Department of Homeland Security agents were staged out of, or symbolically this is their area.
Well, it's federal property, so it's definitely in their jurisdiction.
It's definitely in their jurisdiction, right? It's federal property. And the people and the local government, the mayor, Ted Wheeler, has said, no, get out of my place. Get out of here. You need to leave. And okay, and in the last few days, there's been some crazy things happening around this courthouse and protesting. But yesterday, 12 hours ago, took the cake.
Oh, man. It was ridiculous. Steve watched a lot, like way more of this than I did. You want to go into the zombie apocalypse over there?
First of all, it looked like the fucking zombie apocalypse. It looked like you were watching the intro of, like, Left 4 Dead. I was truly concerned about how the similarities of this and a video game look like. This is like a video game. This isn't real. This is wild. The feds, the federales, constructed a fence, I assume, during the daytime when these people who don't work didn't protest, I guess. Like, they don't protest.
They had to sleep it off, man. You got to rest after all that protesting.
I mean, maybe you guys should have shifts. Like, I don't know why they were able to. And apparently this fence was fucking bulletproof. This thing, they could not bring this thing down, and no one had the wherewithal to like hook up a truck to like a fucking chain or something, and just tow it down. That would have worked.
I mean, I don't think anybody owns a truck in Portland. I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
The irony is that you would very quickly see how much of a game this was. Because they constructed a fence around I assume it's the front of the federal building, symbolically the area in which everyone will congregate. And in this fence, there is a doorway that they constructed to come in and out. So it's not sealed off, right? You can go in and out. And you're not allowed to cross the line into the interior fence area. If you want to make a game for people, it's don't cross the line game. So people are going in and out. Oh, they're doing all this crazy shit. And they have on the main doors, those main doors that kept screwing people up. They have these hyper-powerful flashlights blinding the front of the door. They got laser. They got all this crazy shit. Like, they're waiting for them to come out so they meet them in battle. This was like the intro to Lord of the Rings when they're side to side.
The Eye of Sauron is like
and
going over
at the Fields of Pelennor, and they're one side here, and when they rally, And I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? At that point, like multiple fires have been started. Multiple fires. I don't know what they're keeping it alive with, because the fires stay on for a long time. No one's throwing any Molotov cocktails, which I thought was disappointing, because they're throwing a multitude of fireworks. Many fireworks they're throwing in there. They got people with leaf blowers. That was my fantastic one. To disperse all the tear gas and smoke bombs that they use, they have people with leaf blowers to like direct and blow the smoke away.
Oh, that's...
I thought that was really clever. Like, oh, look at you. You have your position in the new communist regime. Leaf blower. Perfect. Anti-chemical weapons sergeant.
I am one cog in the machine.
Yeah, that's a job. Good job, man. There was multiple people with leaf blowers. It wasn't just like one guy who was clever. Like, they organized this.
I'm actually like, I'm mildly impressed. I didn't think they had that level of organization.
No, when I saw him, like, oh, that's smart. Because at this point, you'd ask somebody like, "Oh, what's the most effective way to get your point across?" Not this. This was not it. This is almost. It was almost like a game that I saw it for what it was, and it became so nonsensical. It was crazy, Tom.
Yeah, it's like, what is the goal? Becomes the question.
How dare you ask that, Tom? That shows your white privilege by asking what the goal is.
It's like, what are you protesting?
No,
like,
nobody knows.
It's like a systematic racism. Okay, what systems?
No,
it's just endemic in the system. Like you just
they had their chants. Every night they'd come together. One of them was quite catchy actually, and that was pretty stupid. But they didn't call for anything. They didn't do it. They didn't symbolize anything. They weren't there for Black Lives Matter, even though they said it a lot. They were there because they wanted to fight against the federal government.
Yeah,
that was why they were there.
It's like unleashing like all these like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like you're just like so pissed off at everything and you don't know where to channel these feelings. Instead of like channeling them into your own personal life, which is probably where they stem, you pick out the enemy, the target, and you go after it.
It's like going berserk. Like everything, you just see red. The blinders come on. There's one target.
Yeah, that's
possibly someone has led you to believe that's the target, and you're just the bull going to go straight for it.
It feels like good. Like you're doing it in a group. Like that's kind of how like humans are.
Your brethren or your battle buddies are beside you to fight against the evil. Right? That's every single story ever.
The great Satan.
The great Satan.
The great orange Satan. But Mayor Ted Williams, not Williams.
Ted Wheeler,
I don't know why I keep saying that. Who the fuck? Ted Williams, he was a baseball player. That's why I keep confusing him.
I saw someone call him Ted Kneeler, and I thought that was great.
That's kind of funny. So Ted Wheeler, who's let this go on, he said he doesn't want federal agents in his city. He went out to go meet the protesters for a quote-unquote like listening session.
Did he call it a listening session?
Yeah, he did.
It looked like he was just a punk in the middle of a ring.
Oh man, it was bad. He was pretty much like stuck between being cucked in a hard place, dude. Like, holy shit. So as soon as they're trying to introduce him, you get the chant in the background. Fuck Ted Wheeler. Fuck
I
Ted
heard a lot.
Wheeler.
That's right. I don't know why they hate his mayor. It sounds like a good mayor for all these people.
Weird. Yeah, sounds like a progressive
I'm for the
guy.
People. Isn't that who you wanted?
Yeah. Nope. Instead, it's just like it's unbridled anger, like you were saying. It's just like going berserk. It doesn't matter what's in front of you.
Just kill.
Yeah, it's like this kill mentality. So he's trying to speak, and other organizers saying, "Hey, come on, like quiet down, guys, let him speak." And then you hear like one dude who's on a microphone, this like fucking punk ass white dude who's just like,
they're all punk ass white this time.
No, fuck him. He's a fucking fascist. Like.
It goes to show like the lack of education
for
their
bad.
own elected officials. Like if Trump were to come along, oh yes, the hatred should be real. But if Jenny Durkin went to Chaz, would they treat her the same way?
Yes.
Being that yes, they would have treated her the same way.
She had enough political tact not to go out and talk to them though.
Right. Which Ted don't. He don't have that.
He tried to like play. It's appeasement essentially, and
absolutely.
If you know anything about human history, appeasement's a terrible strategy. So he's trying to talk about like nothing makes you more riled up, I guess, than a timid middle-aged white man talking about systemic racism. So some of the funniest question that he got was like, how are you going to protect us from these federal agents? Like, why? How come you haven't brought out the local police? I'm like, everything's come full circle. It's like, wait, defund the police.
Where's the police?
So the police are gone. So then federal agents are brought in. So then you want the police to stop the federal agents.
You can't have both.
The only thing that I agreed with that he said was that he was against qualified immunity, which I'm against as well.
That was a big talk, especially at the same time. Ben Shapiro got a big soapbox on Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and that was a long talk about qualified immunity, and that's going to be a big law that's going to be changed in the next couple of years.
Definitely,
qualified immunity is really going to change, but that's the only one. Like,
yeah, that's the only
what about
point.
Qualified immunity? Oh, we're going to look into that. We're going to figure out how to change that. 'Cause that's an issue.
Like, other than that, they definitely asked him, like, so what are you doing to stop all this? And, like, he said, oh, I'm doing everything in my power. It's pretty much, like, the same bullshit we've been seeing this whole time of, like, feel. If I just feel enough, the stuff will sort itself out.
I feel like I do it like a freaking, like, Goku. Like a Saiyan. Like, if I feel enough, I'll change into my next level. I can break these cuffs.
That's a good video.
The funny thing is that mayors don't have a lot to do with the judicial system.
No, they don't.
They are they're the head of middle management for a city.
Yeah.
They do a lot of PR.
Mm-hmm.
They sign off on a lot of community and type things.
Like, you might deal with the unions a little bit, but
you deal with the unions because they're part of your. They're not government. You are government. You can be the bastion of government that like interact with them.
Yeah.
But you're not part of the judicial system.
No. So it's kind of funny that, like, you know who they could talk to?
Yeah, the police chief.
They could talk to the police chief. They could talk to Governor Kate Brown, who has been pretty absent during all of this.
You could talk to any a police union leader would have been somebody good to talk to, but they're probably not very happy with the protest, so they're not going to be around.
Even your federal representative. Speaking of which, Representative, what the hell's this guy's name? He's like, this guy addressed Congress. He's a congressman from Oregon. He looked like some sort of like Pee Wee Herman character. Like, he had a lapel of like this like green bicycle. Like,
that's the most Portland thing I've ever fucking heard of.
Yeah, right. Earl Blumenauer.
Earl, help us.
He said, it's the responsibility of the local government to take care of it. I'm like, okay, but what if they shit the bed? Like,
no. What if they took a dump and then lit it on fucking fire on the bed and said it was someone else's fault? What do you
like what the shit? Like, Trump blatantly stepped in because local government and state government weren't doing their job.
They lost control of the situation. The most terrifying idea for me, just when I was watching this, thinking about it, is what is going to be the appeasement? Because I don't see, will all these people see the error of their ways on the fact that this isn't going to work? And are they going to see that, a better choice is maybe not shit on all of the people that come before us? Did Malcolm X burn down the federal court building? No.
No.
Did the Nation of Islam try to fuck him up? Yes. Did MLK try to, throw smoke bombs back at... No. He staged one of the greatest sit-ins ever in front of... was it not the Capitol building? What was it? In front of the Washington Memorial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very famous speech.
Yeah. More people there than at Trump's inauguration, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. There's a shit fucking amount of people with no internet.
Yeah, but
he organized one of the greatest sit-ins ever.
Okay, he was a man of integrity, though, and
he was also a godly man, and that's a little dicey nowadays.
You ignore it's like to the protesters, MLK is this very obscure figure. It's like, yeah, he was good. I just don't know how he accomplished what he did, and I don't really care to. Because the best people ever alive are alive right now in these protests, ever.
There's never been a greater person that stood up for insert ideal here than not right now. But who are those people? We don't fucking know who those people are. Who are the leaders that want to say that we're going to be the ones that stand up? No, there is nobody. There's nobody that's going to converse with legislation or the other side, because it's about getting the other side on your side, right? Mm-hmm. We have a problem, and we need to see that the other side recognizes this and helps us with it, right? There's nobody doing that.
No, none. It's like the Blob, dude. It just keeps expanding.
It's the flood in Halo. It's just
that's
ever
way better.
Increasing. It's just a spread, like.
And then, it takes down victims like Lin-Manuel Miranda, and then all of a sudden he's going to the flood too.
He must. It's like and that's why it's like zombies. It's not there. There is no singular point. There is no. The idea is no federal agents. Okay,
Mhm.
cool. So you're going to attack them. Like the entire time I was waiting to in this massive group, all it would have taken if somebody was in there that they just killed people that were nefarious.
Yeah.
They'd be planted in there. And this is the idea, the real tinfoil, the CIA or the real dark parts of the government. They only need a couple instigators in there with either blanks or real firearms
Mhm.
to just shoot them in the crowd.
Yeah.
Just a couple. You need one in each
Yeah,
spot.
that's all you need.
And
if
you
you
don't
want
not
pure
to shoot anybody,
chaos.
but just to make that flashpoint to happen. People would have died. There's so many people there that if there was a real rush of people would have died. People, absolutely, people
Definitely.
would have died.
With how densely packed
Oh,
those streets
the-
were.
And from storefront on the left side building all the way to the other side of the street, shoulder to shoulder, you can touch this person every single way. You're all connected. They're moving at a snail's pace because they can't fucking move. Because it's a slow monster that's moving. So if they were able to set something small, and I was waiting for someone with fireworks to have a bad throw, because they're just chucking them. They're just lighting them and chucking them. You can see it. I'm waiting for someone to have a bad throw or for it to slip out of their hand and blow up on their feet. That would have been utter chaos.
Yeah, it would have.
That would have been
definitely.
If somebody that actually had a real weapon like a Molotov cocktail and threw it wrong, that would have killed so many people. That would have been so devastating. And seeing that all that happened, like tactically, it's a terrible plan.
Mhm.
Let's all bunch up in one big old group and be right up front.
That's how the Spartans beat the Persians. No, they didn't beat the Persians.
No,
But that's how they
actually-
held them.
Actually, they all died anyways. That's the problem. Is that the moral of the story is that they lost. It was utter chaos, and to see that thousands of people had that same ideal to believe that, and to think that this was a good idea, that was scary.
It's the power of groupthink, man.
The
It's-
power of groupthink
it's
was
scary. It is scary.
startlingly accurate and present there, and even when I went to the protest in Vegas, it was that same idea that they did nothing and believed they won. They did absolutely nothing at the Vegas protest. Nothing was solved. When SWAT came and blasted everybody with smoke bombs, CS gas, and pepper balls, spread apart and got everybody away, nothing was accomplished. But as listening to people as I was leaving, like, oh, we did a good job. Did nothing.
Like, what the fuck did you accomplish?
What is
Like,
this? You're vandalizing your own public property. For what? Because Orange Man bad.
That's
Obviously.
what it usually boils down to. And also the sad part too. We were talking about public property. We didn't even touch on the private property. So
The pictures there of how they defaced the federal courthouse is ridiculous. I can only imagine that has spread to many other places.
definitely.
And the amount of damage, like Chaz's $28 million lawsuit, right?
Mhm.
This is going to be more. If this does not, if they don't stop this in a certain time frame, it's going to be so much worse.
Yeah, because this one isn't even confined to borders. Like, it could hit a lot of different targets.
Yeah.
And just keep spreading.
it's wild.
'Cause, okay, for instance, there's a jeweler there. Let me see if I can pull up the name. It's Kasab Jewelers.
In Portland?
Yes.
Okay.
$1 million stolen in assets.
Jesus.
And nobody from the city or state has reached out to them in the least.
What is it? Was he white?
Probably. Or
Yeah.
probably Middle Eastern. His last name's Kasab. They don't
That's
give a
true.
shit. Huh?
That's Islamophobia right there.
They pick and choose what they want to pay attention to. So also a local subway, some of the workers there were like pro-protest and still they'd like overstaff it with security because of fear from the protesters.
Just like a raging bull, there is no good or bad. The only stick they have is there's no carrot. There's only the stick,
Yeah.
and there's only violence is their only answer, because it's not about. If it was about raising up voices or gathering people to identify with your belief, they wouldn't be doing this. This is such the opposite of what bringing people together would be. Because, I mean, we're very rational people, right? We will very much listen, and if we find that we're wrong, we will quickly admit that we were wrong on this certain fact.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, I like to think so. Does this protest convince us that they're doing a good thing?
What have they done that would convince us that way?
Yeah. So let's pick a Joe Schmo who isn't into politics, who just has a cursory understanding of everything, and they see that, how is that supposed to be something that they ally themselves with?
Like destroy your private property, like destroy your city.
Attack the federal government. Attack the federal government.
Yeah, for what? And okay, like the argument has been made, like, oh, okay. First of all, the feds, they're calling them instigators, which is kind of laughable because this started with like the protesters. The feds weren't in there initially; they came in because of the protests.
Because the police are phasing out.
Yeah, and secondly, their argument about people being arrested without a warrant. If you're committing a federal crime, you can be arrested right on the spot. Like it's
an evolution of that, because that was, I believe, why this got such a fever pitch, is that when the federal police came in, they were grabbing people by like being in minivans, stopping people and grabbing them, very much KGB style, off the street. Well, when they were found to not have a crime, they were released.
Yeah.
The Gestapo doesn't do that. The Gestapo doesn't release you after they find, oh, we were wrong, actually. I'm sorry. No, the Gestapo doesn't let you go.
No.
The Stasi, the Red Guard doesn't say, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, our bad guys.
Go on
Go
your merry
ahead.
way.
Like, no.
Excuse us, fellow citizen.
And they were actually more restrained. It's not like they were like going into the crowds just picking people off. They would wait until the protests were over and then follow the protesters and arrest them. And for people who they specifically saw, like,
they
breaking
singled
the law.
out and identified them.
So yeah, when I'm hearing some of these testimonials from protesters, I'm like, what? Well, wait, hold on. You're talking about like when you got nabbed at 2 a.m. What the hell were you doing in that part of town at 2 a.m.?
In the previous 5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, having a mostly peaceful day.
We were having a picnic, actually, with, yeah, it was great.
A mostly picnic protest.
Mostly picnic. It's mostly picnic. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
it's mostly picnic. That's it now. It's mostly picnic.
What's that? Isn't that the argument that like Shapiro uses? Like O.J. Simpson was mostly peaceful on the night where he murdered his ex-wife.
It wasn't peaceful for about 45 minutes, but before and after, it was incredibly peaceful. He was mostly driving the speed limit in his Bronco. He was mostly driving the speed limit. Every other time he's ever driven an automobile, he's always been following the speed limit. So that 3-hour period, that's a little bit. The rest of the time, very peaceful.
So if you drove for 8 hours, it was mostly peaceful drive.
It was mostly peaceful. Yeah, that's what the media is calling it, and like, I can only imagine, because it's been found that people have been using these very high-powered lasers to flash on the eyes of the police and these federal police. That some of them have had significant eye damage.
Really?
Like permanent blindness.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's very serious.
That's bad.
And as a nerd in my life, I've seen how like the evolution of these electronics, that you can get one that's in the palm of your hand that could easily burn through clothing.
Wow.
So imagine flashing that in your eye. That's permanent eye damage. And it's found that a couple people have had this. So, how does that work? They've that is
that's depriving somebody of a sense. Like that's
cutting off an arm.
Yeah,
I'd rather lose both of my legs before I go blind.
Definitely.
So, I mean, is that tantamount to like murder? Like is that torture? Like, how do you define that? Is that peaceful? No, not peaceful at all. At a certain point, they caught a small portion of the federal building on fire. Of all the fires that were spread around, I don't know how they lit them, but there was a good amount of fires. They got one that was right next to the building, and it was getting pretty fiery. It was pretty decent fire. I'm like, what is this? With Triangle Shirtwaist? They're gonna burn down the fucking place and burn them all alive on the inside? Is that the plan? Excuse me? What the fuck is that?
That's. I mean, hopefully there were. I doubt that there would be employees there at that hour.
There were definitely people in there, because at certain points they were having a show of force, and they come out the double doors, smoke grenades, and they got the shields on.
Okay. So there were like federal.
They were in the building.
Okay,
they were absolutely in the
gotcha.
building. At certain points they'd come out and they'd throw some smoke bombs and all this stuff to maybe disperse the crowd, but they do a bullshit fucking job of actually doing anything. And they'd come out to the inside the fence area, play a little game, and then they went back in. They did that at least twice. And that's what I didn't understand. What the fuck are you even doing now, federal police?
Yeah.
But I even see the understanding of whoever is supposed to be the commanding officer, whoever is making the decisions inside in there, they can't do anything because if they cause any injury,
Mm-hmm.
then they've just put on the hat of them being the bad guys.
Yeah.
So they are totally hamstrung and not being able to do anything. But yet they must fulfill their job of, reducing this protest.
Yeah, it's an impossible situation.
Absolutely impossible. Rock and a hard place.
Yeah, that's sad. And that's kind of funny because, like, Steve and I are largely, like, small government guys, but with this federal intervention in Portland, I'm not going to lie, I'm for it because, like, look at what Portland's become.
Absolutely that life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, and the pursuit of property is tantamount. Number one.
Mm-hmm.
Numero uno. But when these people reject that, they're rejecting it. They're rejecting everything that's made everything great in the symbolic identity of the federal government.
Yeah.
And also the government's a piece of shit. It's failed many people many times. But it's also the greatest. Winston Churchill, the United States government is the worst government that's ever existed, except for every other version of government ever existed. It's the greatest, worst government ever. It's been the most successful, worst government ever. And as much as it's been bad, it's the greatest government that's ever existed.
Yeah.
With the greatest foundations that has ever existed. And they reject it wholeheartedly for a cause that is wildly skewed.
It's amorphous. It's constantly changing.
It's constantly changing. And they hate it. So if my government goes and fights that, I want that.
I mean,
right?
As do I, because wasn't part of what the founding fathers wanted was to stop a tyranny of the majority.
The reason we have an electoral college is to avoid the tyranny of a majority. If you go back to ancient Greek with the birthplace of democracy, they found that it wasn't good for every person to have a vote.
Yeah.
That you must divide and separate and concentrate where these things are supposed to be at to be more useful.
So what do you think? But it's hard for me to call this an ideology.
Because it's not.
Yeah, it's not really. It's pretty much they want stuff to be done right now at the drop of a hat, but they don't know exactly what they want done.
They know what they want done.
Kind of.
But they don't want to offer any solution as to how to actually execute it. Except for, do it for me. You do it. Do it. But I'm not going to tell you how to do it or how to put that in a budget. Or who are we gonna who are we gonna employ to figure it out? Is it gonna be you? No, it's not gonna be me. It's not gonna be me, but somebody else needs to figure it out, and I want it right now. And if you don't, I'll do something bad.
It's very millennial.
Yeah, instant gratification.
Yes.
Guys, nothing is
from
instant.
Instant gratification, helicopter parenting. It's like all these like converging forces.
And this is what happens. And then when all the stars align, it just bloop and like boom. It's wild to see. That's just one concentrated area.
Mm-hmm.
And Portland being a very left place, very progressive government, very progressive people. Would this spread to other places if Trump were to? Because he's talked about moving more federal agents in places to quell certain things.
Chicago specifically, yeah.
Chicago. Okay. So how's Lori going to figure that one out?
Lori has said, and this is
Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago.
Hilarious, by the way. So Trump said he's going to move in federal agents because like too many people are getting killed in Chicago, and
which they absolutely are.
Yeah.
Let's focus on that first. Every single weekend, for some reason, the gangsters only kill people on the weekends. There have been 50 plus people shot for the past 2 months.
Yeah,
Wild.
Since the police had a mitigated presence. So Lori Lightfoot's response to that is, "Oh, we just need to crack down harder on gun laws." Like on the gun laws that you've been cracking down. Chicago has always had strict gun laws
for decades,
and it's done nothing. So she's saying, let's do more of the same. And then she went on this weird tangent about, oh, well, Trump only wants to do this. Notice the mayors that he hates. He hates me. He hates Mayor Bowser of D.C. He hates Keisha Lance Bottoms of Atlanta. He hates Jenny Durkin. Why? Because we're all Democratic women.
Isn't the mayor of D.C. not the mayor anymore? Doesn't he have the Army secretary is now the governor of D.C.?
She is the mayor of D.C. still, but she has a boss now.
Yeah, she's been usurped by
Yeah. So
the Democrat
that's-
way, he hates women. That's right. Trump hates women.
women.
He
Yeah, they're not
hates
going to talk about how he like hates Bill De Blasio or like any like man.
them. Yeah.
But,
No.
but yeah, that's why he wants to move in federal.
Trump probably likes Carol Goodman.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
I mean, because she's an independent, she would never publicly get close to him. But I bet
No,
you.
but I'm sure they've interacted.
Yeah,
Like,
I bet
I'm
you
sure
they.
Carol and Oscar have definitely hung out with
Oh,
Trump before.
no doubt.
Absolutely.
Like, well,
in
you
this
know,
town, Trump
well
Tower.
before he was a
Oh,
politician.
absolutely.
So they, and I'm assuming they like each other.
Amicable at least.
But she's an independent.
And that might as well be terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can't be in the center, man. With us or against us.
No, that's right. Yeah, Chicago, that's even a different, like, I don't even know how she can say that with a straight face when the last 30 years hasn't worked. So let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Definition of insanity.
And,
Trying the same
and she looks
thing.
crazy.
Yeah, she does look kind of
She
crazy.
needs to get better nutrition.
Better nutrition, better like hairstylist. She needs a lot.
Yeah.
But now we're being bigots because we're picking apart a woman's appearance. Ooh,
Yeah,
that's bad.
That's bad. Yeah.
Christ. So, I guess speaking of like women and picking apart appearances, there's a sexual harassment accusation to 3 very big, high-profile people from Fox News. That'd be Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, and Ed Henry.
Yeah, absolutely scandalous stuff. What happened there, Tom?
So I didn't even read in the details, so that's probably more appropriate for you to address.
Oh yeah. So, sexual assault, bad. Obviously, right?
Yes. I think we're all in agreement there.
The singular claim that stands out for me from these 3 sexual assault allegations is that the woman who's claiming this, can't remember her name right now, but she said that at one point in time she was microphoned up, and the way they because it's a microphone with a line on it, goes back to wherever it goes. It was slung through the chair, so she couldn't stand up. So she was like clipped into position, so she couldn't move. Well, because that's showbiz, baby.
Yeah.
And apparently, Tucker Carlson took off his jacket or put his jacket on in front of her. I assume it in probably close proximity. Took it on or put it on in front of her, and that was tantamount to changing in front of her.
That's hilarious.
I don't believe his pants were off or his shirt was off, but he was doing a wardrobe change in front of her, and that was tantamount to sexual assault.
Anything is. Did you look at her? That's
You know what?
assault.
That's assault right there. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't read into the ones on Ed Henry or like Sean Hannity.
Now, our good friend Bill, he's had quite a few run-ins.
Yeah, Bill O'Reilly though. That one.
He's paid out I think it's like $48 million worth
Holy
of
shit.
payoffs from sexual assault allegations privately, and so he's got a couple.
Yeah, his I would give some credence to, but this one just sounds kind of like a hit piece because on top of the allegations, the other accusation was that Fox News harbors a culture of sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And as the sole major conservative news organization, to me, and I'm definitely jumping to conclusions here, it sounds like a hit piece.
Oh, it absolutely is, and they're running it now because it's all convenient to do it now. It's all fucking hella
Yeah,
convenient.
it's how you handicap your opponents, and it's very low risk, high reward. Yeah, if it comes out that they're false, like, oh well.
Yeah, it's not like they don't write retractions anymore. They're like, oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and if they are legitimate, I would hope that they're proven to be so.
Yeah.
But that's my initial take on it, is that it's a hit piece.
Yeah. I'm trying to even find it here.
Uh-oh, maybe it's already been buried in our
I can't.
minute-by-minute news cycle.
Yeah, Ed Henry of rape Tucker Carlson and sexual harassment. Henry asked her to be her, quote, sex slave and, quote, little whore.
Oh, boy.
That's not great. Ed Henry fired earlier this month. So maybe that might have some validity
Yeah, that
to
one
it.
might.
That one might have some validity to it. Henry forced Eckhart to sexual relationship, assaulted her in her office, raped her in a hotel room. It's not great. Hannity offered $100 to staffers to date Eru.
Date who?
Kathy Eru.
Oh, like he's
Hannity-
placing bets? Like,
Offered
He's like,
staffers
"Yeah, I'll give you
$100 to date
$100."
her, And
Huh.
Carlson stopped inviting her on his show as much as he had in the past after she declined one of his advances.
Oh boy.
That's not really a different topic. If you ask a chick out now, and she doesn't like it, now should you have asked one of your coworkers out?
No, I mean that's highly unprofessional.
That's not prefer. And especially if you're Tucker Carlson, you're a person of significance. You can't
Yeah.
ask a staffer, or someone below you. That's classic. Was it quid pro quo? But
I'm trying to
is it
remember
quid?
the term.
But having that actual hierarchy.
Yeah, to have
Oh,
actual power over
right,
somebody. who
that
you're
is
yeah,
significant.
that's-
Yeah.
that's why men and women just shouldn't work together. That's all.
Oh,
Easy
damn.
conclusion.
Whoa, damn, buddy boy.
Oh man, really hitting the gas pedal on that.
Oh, Jordan Peterson. Don't you just want to live at home? No, it was Gavin. Gavin McGinnis would always say that.
Dude.
You're not fulfilled. Don't you want to be a mom and live at home and not have to work and your husband do it? Gavin McGinnis would fucking fire on that shit like crazy. Assaulting, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so maybe Henry's a piece of shit.
Maybe.
Maybe Henry's a piece of shit. But I don't see. Okay, Tucker maybe shouldn't have asked her out once, but that's not terrible. And I see nothing about Sean Hannity. But obviously, they're all bad people. Why?
Yeah,
Male, white, older,
conservative.
rich. Disgusting. Disgusting.
Worst people ever. Speaking about confirmed terrible people, so another bombshell in the Ghislaine Maxwell case.
Child sex, slave rings.
For real. So Judge Loretta Preska in Manhattan ruled that 80 different documents in a prior case filed by Virginia Giuffre, who was one of the victims from the Epstein, child sex ring. They were originally being covered because Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyers said that it revealed very confidential details about Ms. Maxwell's sex life.
Okay. Sure.
However, because of how important that information is to this upcoming case, it's been overruled and they're going to be released. So hopefully we actually see them.
From the article I read, it said later this week. So the word is soon.
Hold my breath on that one.
Right. And what I don't understand, and this may be my lack of knowledge in the legal system,
Mhm.
but there was a previous, Epstein was indicted in 2006, I believe, for child sex.
In Florida, yeah.
Yeah, for molesting a child, child sex
I
trafficking.
want to say it was like 2008.
2008,
But yeah.
in that time frame.
Yeah.
And he was found, I forget if he was found guilty or if he pled guilty.
He pled guilty to procuring prostitution with a minor.
But yeah, so not great at all. And he
Yeah.
did time. Apparently, the time he did in jail was a joke because he
Yeah, he could leave whenever he wanted.
leave-
It
no,
was
no.
bad.
No. He was allowed to work. He's had to show up for jail at 6 p.m. and spend the night in jail for 6 months.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But he was able to leave and go to work in his business as a hedge fund investor, manager, whatever the fuck.
Mhm. He was on helicopters too. He was out flying places.
He just had
and,
to be back by curfew.
it's
Great prison sentence. Totally makes reformed.
terrible.
And I'm sure documents were then. And then this case is in 2017 when she was indicted, Ghislaine, right?
yeah.
And she did what's the word? What's the word for you talked to your lawyer before?
Mm.
Deposition. It was
Yeah.
deposition. And she did, and all these things in evidence, and then they were sealed and they were kept from the public and kept from the judge and the jury and the lawyers. Why is that allowed?
Yeah, that's all these special privileges.
It's a fact. It's a piece of evidence that was found, either was procured by a witness or by the plaintiff or the defendant or by other means, and it's indicative to a case, and then you don't use it. Why? I might not know the legal system, but that doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Well, this whole thing doesn't make sense. Including the case in the 2000s that you talked about. That was so underhanded. It's all of a sudden they made the decision. There was no.
With no penetration, there was no rape.
They cut the thing short, hit that trial. With Alex Acosta, who was the Secretary of Labor underneath Trump, but then when Epstein got nabbed, he stepped down.
Oh, convenient.
He said, "Oh, it's very good that this is all happening." It's that's kind of weird, Mr. Acosta, because I'm pretty sure it was within your power to put him away back then, a decade earlier. also with the prostitution charge, I think that's probably one of the most criminal things that I've seen from all of this is that a lot of these underage girls who were coerced into like sexual activity as
They're
minors.
prostitutes.
Yeah, isn't that fucked up?
No,
Like
that-
you're calling them prostitutes?
So it's very much a very liberal meme, but it's so significant because the big thing now and on the culture war is vocabulary.
Yes, definitely.
Changing the words in which people use change the thoughts that are inspired from them. Child prostitute or child sex or was it what's the other term? But like it was like unconsenting sex. There is no consenting or unconsenting.
Mm-mm.
That's rape.
Yeah, it's just called rape.
That's rape. There's no other word to use. Children do not get a consent. They don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the brains to do it. They are children. They're innocent beings. They're
Yeah.
naive.
Like they don't have any
There
like,
is no-
sexual inclinations.
There is
They're
no
kids.
child sex worker.
No.
There's a child that is being
Yeah,
pimped
child
out.
sex worker. Like
There
what the
is
fuck
no
is that?
child prostitute. There's a child that's being taken advantage of
Yeah, it's a victim.
at the most base level of a human being to be sold and to be raped because they don't consent to sex,
Mm-mm.
to be raped by other people for financial gain of somebody else. There is no. That's the most terrifying. They change these words. The other terrifying, ancillary point to this is the push to have pedophilia be normalized.
Yeah, and they're trying to do it gradually. Like, oh, we just need to rehabilitate them. It's like being a drug addict. It's like
No,
you're
it's okay.
fucking kidding
No.
me.
No, we throw them out of helicopters. 'Cause
Yeah.
they're not people.
Yeah, I don't like you are damaging somebody for the rest of their life at the beginning of their life.
And there's nothing. You can have wonderful sex with a consenting partner as an adult, and it can be beautiful and have a wonderful relationship. There's nothing positive about having sex with a minor.
No, nothing.
There can never be anything positive about having sex.
Yeah.
If unless you had to have sex with a minor to save the world in some crazy backwards fucking fantasy of yours,
Well, sorry, the world's over.
the world the world dies because you save the one to also save the many.
Yeah.
You do not sacrifice the lamb.
It's man, and it's kind of like a showing of like just in case stuff does get out about the Maxwell case. It's almost like they're trying to prepare for it, like that. I'll say, well, what they did wasn't really bad. It's more of like those girls they went through
It
puberty.
was an entanglement.
So yeah, entanglement.
It
that's
was an
another
entanglement.
That's another weird
It
word.
wasn't
that's,
adultery. You didn't cheat
Yeah.
on your husband. I got entangled with another
that's
person.
a whole other. Unfortunately, this isn't like a dating show, but like, oh man, that's another
Did
situation.
he entangle his penis in your vagina?
No,
like,
shucks.
I'm sorry. It's called intercourse.
Entanglement. But yeah, so definitely keep your eyes on Ghislaine Maxwell. We got to make sure that she survives to trial.
She needs to speak.
Yeah, we need to hear the story and we need to see those documents.
We have to.
Um,
Like every day is a red letter day for.
yeah,
fucking,
like,
you know,
always checking my
freedom
phone.
and truth.
Just like, oof, is she still alive? All right, good.
I'm waiting for every single publisher website newspaper saying, "Oh, just recently in." Boom.
It's like fuck.
Waiting for 4chan to have that one picture of somebody in the inside.
Uh-huh.
She's dead. It's like, oh, great, it's happened again. The world's gonna fucking end now.
Jeez. Oh man, and unfortunately, Donald Trump has been in pictures with both Ghislaine and Epstein.
There's a picture of him and Melania
Yep.
and Jeffrey and Ghislaine all smiling for the picture.
Chummy. So huge. The thing about Trump is that nothing is ever premeditated. He always just like acts on impulse. So when asked a question about Ghislaine Maxwell, he's like, I don't really know about what's going on. I've met Ghislaine many times. I wish her
I wish her
well.
well.
I'm like, oh my fucking god, are you kidding me right now?
So specifically on that point, specifically, I wish you well. He definitely said that. He definitely said that. You know who he's also said that to? Everybody he fucking hates.
Oh really?
I wish Joe Biden well. I wish Hillary well.
Oh, so it's like code.
It's code for go fuck yourself. He said I wish you well to many people, which Trump does not like. And I very much believe that he may not got the message of maybe don't say anything positive about a definite child sex predator.
Even if you're like
Even if it's
using
being
as your
satirical
no.
or even if it's like the underhand slap, but like no. But he does use that framework of speech to say, hey, I hope she has a great time. I'm sure she'll be just fine in prison. She's a smart woman. I'm sure she'll figure it out.
Yeah, unfortunately, 99% of the populace doesn't.
No, it
get
doesn't seem that way. No,
So
no, no, no.
It comes off as Trump is supporting a child predator.
And that's not a good look for Orange Man.
No, it isn't. What is a good look for Orange Man is citing actual data in his return to the COVID briefings, which
Because now the White House is the coronavirus house.
yeah,
They get all the data.
I mean, he misses the rallies, man. Like Trump loves being in the public eye, so
he's got to get out there. It's showbiz, baby. It's showbiz.
Yeah, so he's cited that new cases are becoming less and less prevalent now, despite
Great.
in 19 states they're like less than 5% of people tested. That being said, on top of that, the debate about reopening schools, Trump is in full support of reopening schools, saying that studies in Europe state that there's no concrete evidence that children can spread it to adults.
But that means you want to kill grandma.
Yep,
You want to kill grandma? It's how you kill grandma.
It's that leap. It goes from these kids, they could still just go home, and the teachers, they could go home and give it to their families and kill everyone.
Kill grandma. Yeah, it's and remember last week when they found out that Florida labs were showing that they had a 98% coronavirus positive rate?
Yeah, that's disgusting.
And then it found out it was a 9% coronavirus positive rate, and it was a lie. Like at this point now, all facts are subject to further proving.
They're just ammo for whatever cause you want.
Yeah, doesn't even matter which side you're on.
Trust the experts as long as they do what I want to happen.
Or don't listen to anybody because nothing is true.
Yeah.
And here's all my resources to show that it's not true. So the rope is being pulled, and it's just getting tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. It's crazy. We live in the craziest soap opera of all fucking time. It's just reality.
Isn't it disturbing though that anytime something good comes out about Corona, I never see headlines about it or anything? It's like the media's like, shh, no, we got to keep this locked down. This is all horrible. It's the worst. It's if you listen solely to CNN, you would think that it was carnage outside, and they're like it's the Black Plague. Which, by the way, listen to episode 20 if you want to learn about the Black Plague.
It was that long. Was episode 20 that long ago?
Yeah. We've been pumping out some content, man.
God.
Good for us.
I felt like we did that ages ago.
Yeah.
Man.
But
people are strange, man. Of course we don't see anything positive about Corona. I just said in the last podcast that the UK scientists have found that they found a new drug that has really good therapeutic qualities to fight the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Resmedivir, right?
That was one of them.
Resmedivir. We have hydrochloroquine and Z-Pak, and we have this new drug. It starts with a D, and it's not expensive. It's a drug they've had for a long time. They found that it has good therapeutic qualities. Why aren't we talking about that? Why don't we have insider investigations of reporters at hospitals saying, "Oh, we've used X, Y, and Z. I'm Dr. Joe Schmo at Mayo Clinic, aspiring high-level hospital here, and we're using all these things, and it's working, or it's not working, or we've shown that this is more positive, and we're using this for coronavirus patients, and it's great." Nope, the Rona.
Yeah, isn't that also weird? That's also coupled with the message we need to lock down until we get the vaccine, and then there's actual evidence that we are on the verge of getting a vaccine, and you don't hear about it.
I don't know about vaccine, but it's becoming less bad.
Yeah,
it's becoming less bad.
We've gotten far better at treating coronavirus than we did.
We've been figuring it. We've learned a lot in the last 4.5 months. 5? Is it 5 months? March.
I mean,
we're at 7 now. 4.5 months. We've learned a lot, and that's a good thing.
It is, I think.
But at this point now, the coronavirus is so bad. It is literally that even in your home state of Ohio, the governor has instituted a mask wearing rule.
The state of Indiana as well, both Republican governors.
To even in your homes, and the punishment is 90 days in jail.
Yeah, that's what?
Now, whoa!
That is extreme. 90
Why didn't
days?
we do this in March?
Yeah, any evidence that we've seen, while covering coronavirus, which we've been doing since January,
constantly,
is that a lockdown, a swift lockdown, it will only work if you catch it at the very beginning of it reaching your population.
We are now rife with the corona. So a real lockdown won't work. But it's also showing that we're dealing with the coronavirus better. And things are on the up and up. No, it's terrible.
No,
Oh.
you can't hear that. And just the icing on the cake, too, is that, do you hear Dr. Fauci is going to throw the opening pitch for baseball
the first
season
baseball game.
with the Capitals, and I can't remember who they're playing. But that being said, isn't that kind of like going against everything he said? Like, A, he's 79, so he's an at-risk population. Like, is he just going to have, like, Purell on deck? Why is he leaving his home? Is he going to wear a mask? Is he going to wear a full-on hazmat suit?
Also, I thought we fucking hate Fauci.
I do.
I thought he's a bad man. I thought he's a liar.
Well, he was a bad man until he and Orange Man had a beef, and now he's a very good man. It's the same thing with
he's
Mitt,
against Orange Man.
like
of course.
like Mitt Romney was a very bad, rich, white, racist man until he voted for impeachment, and then
And he's great.
very brave man. It's crazy. It's wild. I'm just gonna live my life, dude.
I'm just live my fucking life. I'm gonna do my shit. I'm not gonna fucking make out with my grandma.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's probably a good idea.
That's probably a good idea. You know, I'm fucking wash my hands a little more.
Yeah, we're not saying that coronavirus is a hoax. We're saying that the reaction to it has been way overinflated.
The most overinflated thing possibly in the history of ever.
Ever.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a lot. We just did a lot, Tom.
Yeah, I'm proud of us.
We just did a lot. We talked a lot about a lot of things. And yeah.
Yeah, another day in the coronaverse, man.
Another day in the
What do we
coronaverse.
even like? Everything is just so funny and
Everything
so
is
weird
so
and so
funny.
bizarre. So yeah, just gonna live our lives.
And you live your lives.
Yeah,
Please live your lives.
Yeah, please. We endorse that.